This meeting is being recorded.
Oh.
Hi, everyone. So welcome to this freezer meal cooking class. It is also a class where you're going to learn lots of budget-friendly tips and prepping tips, and you're going to see some recipes that you can prep to put in the freezer to cook later. And I'm actually also going to be doing some cooking of some of these recipes, and then I'm going to freeze them afterwards. So you guys are going to kind of see a whole bunch of different ways that you guys can do some freezer meals. You can follow along however you wish. You can just watch and then, cook or prep later. You can watch just to pick up the tips. If maybe some of the recipes aren't for you, that's totally fine as well. So anyways, I hope that you all, will get something from this class. So my name is Stephanie Weens, and I've been with Epicure for, oh my goodness, it's going to be 10 years in September. So we're recording this August 31st. It's going to be 10 years in about a month from now, and love what I do. Love that I get to inspire people to cook good, clean food and make it super, super easy. And we've got Jen as well, and I'll let Jen introduce herself. So we're going to be walking you guys through these recipes, and then I'll let Jen introduce herself, and then we're going to get going.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Hall. I'm also an Epicure consultant. I just started back in February, and I love freezer meals myself. I've never done one as a workshop virtually before. I've just done them on my own or watched other people's freezer meals and on YouTube and did them that. So when I mentioned to Stephanie, I'm like, oh, I need to get some new freezer meals because I lost everything in my freezer with that big, huge power outage that we had in May. I need to get some freezer meals to put in the freezer so that when school starts up and everybody's going crazy, I can grab something really quick and throw it in my crock pot, my Instant Pot, in the oven, in my steamer, wherever you want, in the pan, wherever you want to do it. So, and that's about it.
Yeah, so Jen and I put this freezer meal together with what was kind of on sale at the time, though all these products are still available right now for you guys to purchase if you haven't already. If you guys are watching and you're like, ooh, I'd like to try that recipe, you can pick them up. I will say though, that things like, this is like insider note here, okay? Things like or anything that's very barbecue-y, like the Montreal steak, the Montreal chicken, any of our rubs or marinades are probably going to be leaving our catalog at the end of September. So if you need some, stock up now. Okay, they're going into the vault list. We're going to get the vault list tomorrow, September 1st. If you guys are watching another time, you probably already have the vault list, but so don't tell anyone I told you, okay? All right, so we're going to start with the O Canada grilled chicken. So actually, I'm going to give you guys, so I will do O Canada grilled chicken, and then cha-cha chili. And then Jen, what two recipes are you going to do after that?
I'll do the Philly cheesesteak, the cheater cheesesteak, and the Donair burgers.
Oh, I thought you were okay.
Or pulled pork. I have stuff. Which one am I doing? Yeah. Or what am I doing? I got them all here.
So you've got pulled pork, crispy, crunchy lettuce wraps, and the Donair burgers.
Okay, so I'll do the crispy, crunchy lettuce wraps and the Donair burgers.
Okay, perfect. And then I'll do the. Actually, can you do the pulled pork right after that?
Sure.
Then I'll do the cheater Philly cheesesteak. All right, perfect. So I
can't remember what I was doing.
That's okay. So the O Canada grilled chicken, this one is super easy, and you can do this with any of our dry glazes or our rubs or our marinades. But so I just put chicken right in the bag. Now I always label my bags before I put anything inside of them because the condensation makes it harder to write anything onto it. And I always flip my Ziploc bag open like this so that if I were to spill something, it's not going to make a huge mess because it's not going to go all over the bag. It's just going to go on the rim of the bag, if that makes sense. Oh, Jen's got a fancy contraption. I see. I don't have one of those. So how does this?
On Amazon, you can get a 4-pack or 6-pack for like $14, $15. It holds the Ziploc bags. Also, another tip, if you just buy frozen chicken, which is usually cheaper, you can divvy it out right away and put it in your bag, and you don't have to deal with raw chicken.
There you go. Another thing I've done is if you don't have one of those fancy contraptions, you can just put it in a bag too to help you keep it steady and open. Okay.
Or a milk jug.
Or milk jug, yeah, like whatever you guys have. So, so I've got 3 pieces of chicken breast in here, and now I'm just going to add 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm not a measurer. If you need to measure, that's okay. It's about 2 tablespoons of oil. I like to use avocado oil. Really, any oil is good for this recipe here. And now I'm just kind of massaging the oil all over the chicken. And then a 1/4 cup of Old Canada dry glaze. Now I am going to, a tip for you guys, just so you know, our lids hold 2 tablespoons into them. So a 1/4 cup is 3 tablespoons. So I could do, so less dishes doing it this way. So I could do the whole lid, shake it inside of there. And I'm gonna, oh, my nose is itchy. And then I'm going to mix this up a little bit. And then I'm gonna put my other tablespoon in, which is going to add up to a 1/4 cup. Okay. Now half of the jar. I mean, not half the jar, half the lid. Another tablespoon. There we go. So you could also cut up your chicken into little cubes and do this. And then you've got Old Canada chicken kebabs ready to go. We love having, we love, you know, Old Canada, any kind of kebabs really.
And what I love about doing meat like this is when you take it out frozen, as it defrosts, it's just marinades. You know?
So when chicken goes on sale, guys, I will like open up a whole bunch of Ziploc bags, drop a whole bunch of chicken breasts in there, and I'll like, you know, Old Canada in one, teriyaki seasoning in another one, barbecue chicken in another, and I just like make a whole whack load in 10-15 minutes. I've got a whole bunch of chicken meals ready to go. Now, can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Good, okay. Okay, any questions so far? We're good? We're good. Okay, so that's Old Canada. So I'm going to put this here. Okay. So I know that Michelle is prepping with us. Susan, hi. I want you to know that if you have any questions at all, this cooking class is for you. So feel free to unmute or type in the chat. I can't see the chat from here, but as Jen is doing her recipes, I can go check the chat, okay? So I might not answer questions right away, but I will come and check them out, okay? Michelle, are you good with the chicken? Okay, so now we're gonna move to cha-cha chili. So honestly, this one is so easy that I actually prefer to cook this one before I freeze it, because it's something that I can just like put all the ingredients in a crock pot, leave it for the day, and then at the end of the day, just and I'll do like a big batch of it too. I'll do like a double batch, and then at the end of the day, I just put it into either containers or Ziploc bags, freeze it, and then they're just, it's totally ready to go. Because anything with tomatoes is always better if it's sat for at least a day. Like anything tomatoes need a few you know, hours or a whole day to really kind of pick up the flavors. So so the cha-cha chili, I myself am not going to prep this tonight, because again, it's ground beef, a can of beans if you like beans. We like black beans, your chili seasoning, and a can of diced tomatoes. That's it. So you can easily just pop that in a pot, a crock pot, a steamer, a wok, an Instant Pot, and just whip up a cooked chili and then do it that way. But if you do prefer to kind of prep things ahead of time, you can just stick all those things into a Ziploc bag, label it chili, and then cook another day. Okay, so I will send pictures tomorrow after I make the chili, because it's just going to be so easy. So I prefer to do it that way. Does that sound good?
And a tip I like to do is, since I like things spicy, I just chopped up some hot peppers and I throw it in there.
There you go.
Because I find it's a very family friendly chili.
Yeah.
So and then
yeah, totally customize it.
take a bit of onions and peppers too, because I like to add some more veggies. Because why not? Where's my chili?
All right. So the O Canada is done and the cha-cha chili is done. So Jen, do you want to take it away with, I think you said crispy, crunchy lettuce wraps?
Yes.
All right.
So I did a mixture of ground beef and ground pork, because ground beef was on sale at Food Basics for $3.44 a pound, and ground pork was $3.88. So I did a mixture. I find that it gives it a nice flavor. So here, where is my? There's the crispy lettuce. There's my scissors. And this is really easy to do when ground meat is on sale. You can, again, buy it, divvy it up into a bunch of Ziploc bags. So I'm just putting the seasoning and sesame oil and soya sauce and peppers. I do peppers and onions, just because I like onions. And okay, chop some more peppers here because I did a lot for the Philly cheesesteak. And our Chef Pro knife is really, really easy to use. It just glides, like you can slice like tomatoes with it and everything. It's super sharp, but it's nice and small for small hands. I don't know about you, but some of my other kitchen knives are huge, and I'm always afraid I'm going to chop my finger off. So, and since it's a ceramic blade, it also is great for like chopping lettuce and stuff, because then it doesn't brown as easily. So you can prep a bunch of lettuce for salads for the week or for a few days, and they don't get all brown. And I'm using the small cutting board here. And just funnel it into the bag. And then what else was soy sauce? And a teaspoon. Now, I buy in bulk, as you can see. But
Yeah, I do that way. I mean, I got the family pack of ground beef, and because it was on sale, and I prefer to try to minimize waste, right? Like, so it's one of the reasons why I like Epicure versus the Hello Fresh stuff, because I just find there's so much plastic waste in those types of boxes. So I like to pick up family packs when I can, so there's less waste. And this was also on sale. So I am going to cook my beef ahead of time in our lovely saute pan right now. And then I'm gonna let that cool, and then I'm going to freeze it already cooked again, because it's just so easy to cook and freeze. I'm going to do this one this way, and I'm going to omit the peppers and the onions, or sorry, it just calls for peppers. We prefer to have the crunch of raw peppers and onions when we go to eat the lettuce wrap. So we don't put it in with the meat. We do it separately afterwards. that way.
And that was a teaspoon of the sesame oil, which I had to keep on shaking the darn thing. And then I just make sure I got all in here. And yeah, we like ours cooked. What we like with it, once it's all cooked, is bean sprouts, shredded carrots, and the green onions on top to add even more veggies. But yeah, and there it's all mixed together, and then you just throw it in the freezer. Take it when you take it out, put in a saute pan, put it in your multi-purpose steamer, cook it up in your Instapot, whatever you'd like. And what's great is just once it's cooked is our meat separator, which I just have it here. It is amazing to do. Once it's cooked, you just use this and break it all apart. So you can do it, you don't have to wait for it to defrost.
So this is what I'm using right now to break it all up and mix everything up into the frying pan. I love this ground meat separator. I love how, can you see this? It makes it so easy to clean afterwards. I use this all the time, and like I big batch cook. So if I have like a big batch of spaghetti sauce, I'll use this to make sure that everything is getting stirred all the way down from the bottom, because as I'm turning it, it kind of like, it does a really good mix of it too.
Okay, so that's the lettuce wraps, and then this is going to be the donair burger. So again, I have a mixture of ground beef, ground pork, and I divvied it out into Ziploc bags so I knew what wasn't. I'll pop them back in there afterwards. Donair seasoning. Yeah, so it just says to mix this with where's my with 2 eggs. If you can't have eggs, you can make a flaxseed egg. So it's like 1 teaspoon of flaxseed, 1 teaspoon of water, or something like that. You could just Google a flaxseed egg. It helps with binding. Or you could just not use eggs at all. So it's up to you. The seasoning, 2 eggs, and make sure when you're doing it that you're using 2 pounds of meat, because it's a lot of seasoning. And even if it's more than 2 pounds, it's good, because it's one that it can stretch. No, okay. Couldn't crack my. You'd swear my eggs were hard boiled or something. And where was the recipe for it? Make sure I had all the stuff up for it. I printed them out so I could have them later too.
And then you can make notes on them too. Like I like to make notes and say, okay, well, this time I tried it with this instead of that, or I added this extra, and then the next time I go to make it, I can look at the recipe and say, oh, right, I remember trying it with whatever. Depends on what the recipe is, and then thinking, oh, we really like that, I'm gonna add it to it this time, or we did not like that, we're not gonna do that one.
So I'm doing something a little different with the burgers. I'm going to use our burger press that you can get, which was one of the free items that you can get over $60 this month. And I'm just making them as burgers, but I'm going to freeze them in the tin foil. So put like 4 in, and then put 4 on top, and then freeze them. You could also do it as a on our sheet pan. Throw that in the oven, not in the oven, the freezer. Just taking off the little ones here.
Yeah, I love using our sheet pans and the liner to freeze anything, because the liner, the silicone liner, makes it so easy for anything to pop off. Like we're talking the burgers that Jen was just mentioning, or I've done like blueberries were just on sale. I found wild blueberries on sale, and I bought 10 pints of them and froze them. because blueberries are so expensive frozen, we use them a lot in our smoothies. So I froze my own blueberries, like, you know, I almost saved like 50% of the cost on these blueberries. But yeah, I love the silicone sheet pan liner that goes on our sheet pan, just to make it super easy to like pop anything that's frozen out. How you doing, Michelle?
Yeah, I just stir in it with the meat separator. Make sure it gets all.
I'm way behind, but I'm listening and listening to tips there. But
Okay. Michelle, we can slow down too if you'd like, and we can just share other tips as you catch up. Totally up to you. Yeah, you're sure? Okay.
I don't see salt. Oh wait, yes, I do. Is this me on? Yes. I was making, you can take it. My daughter's making a salad. Yes, you can take the soy sauce. The good thing I just took, yes, I took everything. Why? Because I was doing a freezer meal. You're making something for tomorrow. No, here.
So do you guys
Here's
normally
soy.
do freezer meals? You can do yes, no, sometimes. I'm just curious if you guys normally do freezer meals. You're like, have you ever done freezer meals before? Not really? Okay, sort of.
I had like this one freezer meal that I would do over and over again. Does that count? Beef and broccoli.
Oh, so Epicur's beef and broccoli? Recipe.
Yeah, I had a beef and broccoli recipe and it was really good, and I would do that one over and over again.
Yeah. So that's nice about doing these ones too, right? Is like you kind of get to test a whole bunch out, and whatever you do like you can make over and over again. And we try to do at least one freezer meal workshop every 3 months when we have new catalogs and new products and new season, and you're kind of going into like, you know, when you go into summer, you don't want to be in the kitchen. So we do a lot of barbecue stuff. In the fall, it's like back to routine and, you know, like easy dinners that also convert into lunches and things like that. So, yeah, so every 3 months we'll have some new freezer meal workshops, and you can pick up some new recipes. Just kind of keep going with them.
Cool.
I see Jen's freezer meals for 4, and I think, my God, you know, she's cooking, she's preparing so much. I'd be eating for years.
Yes,
You know?
Susan's my friend who lives alone, and every once in a while I'm like, okay, I made too much chili, or I made too much of this. Would you like some? And she's like, yes.
I still have
this
some beef soup in the fridge there, beef and barley.
Oh yeah. So this,
So
I'm using the burger press to make hopefully flat burgers. My one complaint my family has is my burgers when I make them aren't flat. So hopefully this solves that problem. Susan, you know my family, they don't like messy, right? And if they're not flat, things fall off. And then they bitch and complain. So
You know, they could cook their own food.
yeah, but you know, my kitchen's a disarray. I have ADHD, so I don't put things back in the same spot.
Yeah, they have eyes. Well, most of them have eyes.
Well, they all have eyes. Not all of them have them working, but yeah.
That's right.
So for the so instead of for us doing the donair burger, so we do a lot of camping throughout the summer, which means we eat a ton of burgers. So I'm not going to make donair burgers. I am going to make donair meatballs though, but I won't do that today just because it's a little bit more messy. But donair meatballs are amazing, and then you can eat them a whole bunch of different ways. We like to eat them as like just meatballs the day of. and then we make the donair sauce, and we kind of make a little salad. And then we'll just kind of eat that all together, or you can cut up the meatballs afterwards on the next day and make like a donair wrap with them afterwards. So lots of different things that you can do with donair meatballs. So that's what I plan on doing with the donairs. But we have had lots of donair burgers throughout the summer, and they are amazing as well. So if you're not sick of burgers yet, you can do that recipe. If you are sick of burgers, you can make meatballs, or you can just follow the recipe on the back of the pack too.
I've made the donair meatballs, like just using the recipe on the back and making them into meatballs and having them with the creamy chicken pesto pasta, but without the chicken. So, so made the pasta.
Yes, she's told me about this. I have not tried this. So there we go. There's a new recipe I get to try. Yay!
Yeah, how many burgers was the recipe supposed to make?
What?
Not that I measured my meat or anything.
Oh.
I have a question. I'm finishing the lettuce wraps, and I've mixed everything together. I'm thinking like I flattened it out in the pack. Is that the best way to, yeah?
Yes.
To save space, yes.
And I think it would defrost faster, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like this burger press. I haven't figured out how to do the stuffed part of it, but
Oh, I can show you.
making burgers is so much cheaper than buying them. I just saw them at the store. I went to the store yesterday to get these ingredients, and burgers, the cheapest one was $12 for 6. I'm like, that's expensive. I paid 10 something for a family pack of ground meat that I made into, like I bought 3 family packs for like 30 and I made 7 meals. So
Okay, so this is our burger press. And it packs up really nice, doesn't take up a lot of space. So the way that Jen's using it, and she's putting meat in this portion right here, and then just taking this and shoving it down so that it's a nice flat burger, and then this part right here comes out. Ooh. So then you can just like pop the burger out and then put it on your pan or wherever you're freezing it, or just right onto the grill. Okay, and then we have our little slider part. So just put a little bit of meat in there, pack it down, and then again, this part comes out, so it kind of like pops your burger right out. So you're not trying to like dig in to get your burger out, because then you're just gonna like, it's gonna be all malformed after that. To make the stuffed burger, so you put a little bit of meat in here, and then you pack it down a little bit. Then you take this part off, and you use this to make a little hole in your burger. Then you stuff it, put some more meat on top, put this back on, pack it back down, and then you've got a big old stuffed burger. They're delicious. So
yeah,
a little burger press, or a little 3-in-1.
Okay. So that's the burgers, and then the pulled pork. That's this one here. I got the pork again was on sale at Food Basics. I love going to Food Basics. It's closest to me. The big huge loin of pork was $1.88 a pound last week. So I cut up the pork into 3 chunks like this. Some I cut up into cubes. Some I left whole. This one I left whole for the pulled pork. And where's my pulled pork? Here. And I couldn't find brown sugar because I don't know. I think my kids hid it. Oh, can you find it for me? Okay. They moved somewhere. But so what I'm going to do instead is, so it adds ketchup. So it adds a cup of ketchup. Again, I'm not measuring because, well, I let my ancestors decide. This looks like about a cup. 1. There, 2 big squirts. Did you find brown sugar? Okay, good. Okay. You need it for yourself. So if you didn't have brown sugar, because I didn't a few seconds ago, you could take white sugar and you mix it with some molasses. Or if you couldn't find white sugar, like I couldn't find white sugar, you take the molasses and you mix it with some stevia. And how much sugar? So I don't do a lot of cooking with sugar, so half a cup. So half the amount of the ketchup. There, that looks like about half a cup. It's so precise. That's what I love about Epicure is that I can't really screw it up. And vinegar. So I have red wine vinegar here because that's what I have available, but it calls for vinegar. So, you could use white vinegar, you could use red wine, white wine, rice vinegar, whatever, apple cider vinegar. I'm sure that would taste really good too, because I know when I make ribs, I put apple cider vinegar with it.
Yeah.
So, how much vinegar? Half a cup. That looks about almost half a cup, actually. I just got to open my mason jar. I get the vinegar in a big, huge jug again, from like Costco, or I think this one was from a restaurant distributor. And so then I pour it into mason jars so that's pourable. That's about half a cup. And then mix it all together and throw that in the freezer and take it out and cook it in your crock pot, Instapot, stovetop oven. If you do it in the multi-purpose thing, it would just take longer, I think. I don't know. I've never done it in that, so I've only done it in my.
Anything that needs to be like slow cooked for a while, I wouldn't do in our steamer. It needs to be an Instant Pot or a or like slowly. What's the on minimum simmering? There we go, simmering on the stove top for a few hours, or in a crock pot. So I actually did the same thing that Jen did, and I found pork loin on sale, and I bought myself 2 big ones. And so what I'm going to do with the more marbled portion is that's what I'm going to use for my pulled pork, and then the rest of it I'm going to cut into my own pork chops, and it's going to save me so much money doing it this way. Like this whole piece of meat right here was $16, and like normally I would get maybe a third of this in pork chops and it would cost me $16, right? Hey, you guys.
Yep.
Can you turn on the volume, please? So anyways, I want to show you guys the knife in action cutting this huge piece of meat, because this to me makes the whole difference. Like if I did not have a good knife, I probably wouldn't buy a big chunk of meat like this and cut things myself, because it would just be a mess and it would take me forever. But like, so I'm trying to gauge about 5 pounds because that's what it takes. But like, I'm barely pushing down. And there you go. So just like butter, few rocks back and forth, and I've got a nice hunk of meat right there. And then I can just cut these into smaller portions for pork chops. There you go. And so if you didn't have a nice sharp knife, you wouldn't be able to cut your pork chops to be the same size, because you'd have like part of it too smaller and part of it bigger, because you have to like really push down on it. So a really sharp knife makes a really big difference in a kitchen when you're prepping something like this.
Can I interrupt with a question about the cha-cha chili, which I know is far back there, but
okay.
The kidney beans or black beans, do you put them unrinsed or do you rinse them?
I rinse them. What do you do, Jen?
I don't rinse them. I just throw them in there with the juices, because it calls for also half a cup of juices. It just adds more stuff to it. But I just don't add the water.
Okay.
It's not like it's not like baking. You don't have to be too precise, as you can see with any of my cooking. It turns out usually well.
But
I usually
does-
So-
rinse beans for
You
chili
rinse yours
because I
in
don't like
water?
the salt.
Sorry,
I
what,
don't like
Susan?
the extra salt that's in the can, so I usually rinse the
Right.
beans.
Yeah, so usually depending on things, I don't like I'll buy the low salt ones and stuff because we don't necessarily need the salt. So yeah, you can rinse it, you could do, or you could drain it, you can throw it all in, depends on what you'd like
It's
to do.
not gonna make or break your recipe, no matter what you do.
Right, just if you do not drain it, just make sure you don't add salt to it. Not that you need to.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So
yeah,
that's the burgers. I put it in this tin foil with like it came with the cardboard lid, and I'm just gonna throw that in the freezer. I'm gonna write on it what they are, so that so I was like counting my things. I'm like, where's my stuff? Yeah, my cha-cha chili. I have to add my thingies to it too. Where's my See, I'm just I'm using the thingy, dumping my tomatoes right in there. And my beans not drained. Because it calls for like use half a cup of water, so I figured this has enough. And I knew I was like, we were getting ahead of myself. And then the seasoning. And just remember, it's a very mild, very family friendly chili flavor. So cook it up, let it taste it first. Then if you want to add more heat, you can. You can't take away heat. I've learned that.
Okay, so
And
The
that's
last-
the chili.
and the chili. Yeah, see, I do the same thing too. I'll just stuff everything into the bag and then I'll close the bag. I'll leave a little bit of air in the bag and then I just kind of like massage it and roll it and it all, gets squished together. But then also at the same time, as you're gonna dump it and cook it. Yeah, as you're gonna dump it and cook it, it's gonna mix up then.
I mixed everything before I put the beans because I don't want to squish the beans.
There you go.
Mhm.
That's a really good idea, actually. Thank you for that tip. Because I probably would have
Yes.
together and then switched. But then maybe that would have hidden the beans a little bit from my kids. So maybe I will try that. Only they're listening. So
When my kids were small, I used to puree the beans. I used to take all my vegetables and my beans for chili and throw it in the food processor. So you couldn't tell anything. That and meat. And same with spaghetti sauce. There was all those vegetables, like half of it was vegetables.
that's a really good idea. I'm gonna do that. So I'll take my canned diced tomatoes and the beans and I'll throw it in the blender and then I'll put it together. Ah, see, this is why I love doing this because I always get other tips from you guys too. Yay! All right. So the last
It's
recipe.
very useful to puree food when you have your wisdom teeth out too, because you get really tired of carnation instant breakfast,
Yeah. no
yogurt and pudding.
So we're coming into soup season, right? So you must be looking forward to like pureed squash soups and pumpkin soups and oh, I love those soups.
I'm remembering back to my teenage days. They were many eons ago. So,
Oh,
my mother pureed spaghetti for me and that was wonderful. Looked disgusting, but it tasted so good.
oh, I remember doing that. So I had braces. One time my braces got tightened and I thought, let's put spaghetti in the blender and let's blend it. I did not love it.
So speaking of blending foods, I worked as a DSW, so I work as a physical care attendant for adults or children with physical disabilities and or an EA in the schools and stuff. one of my my jobs I had was working at the Ottawa Rotary Home, so downtown. So this is where parents had respite for their kids with multiple disabilities, and half the kids would be tube fed. Well, Friday was pizza day, and those kids loved pizza day. So pizza purees well, but you have to do it quickly because the cheese tries to reassemble as a, so it doesn't work so well when you're trying to, when they're like spoon fed or G tube fed. So then you have to put it through a syringe, but you just add more water. And the kids loved it. They thought it was like the best thing since sliced bread. Us adults who were blending it were like, oh no, but we blended chocolate cake and pizza. Because they wanted to participate too. You know, why not?
Yeah. That's cool that you guys found a solution for them.
Yeah.
So I had already chopped up some of the veggies for the cheater Philly style cheesesteak. So all it is instead of slicing your veggies, you're dicing them. And instead of beef strips, you're just using ground beef.
Or do what I did and just use ground beef and slice them.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever your family likes. So I find if I'm gonna freeze peppers, I like them in bigger chunks because if they're in too small of a chunks, they just kind of like disintegrate, right? So I still like the crunch of the peppers. So, and I wanted to show you guys how the knife works on, so this is a different knife, just so that you know. I have two knives. I always have one for my veggies and one for my meat. And so this is just a regular pepper. I think you guys can see this. And I'm barely pushing down on it. And again, it just glides so beautifully on the pepper. So nice.
Okay, then I'll come out.
So this recipe calls for peppers, mushrooms, and onions. You don't like mushrooms, don't put them in. You don't like onions.
I didn't put them in. I just did more peppers and more onions.
There you go.
Can be on that. Yes, I can.
Like versus the Hello Fresh, and those types of things is that you can totally customize it. Whereas the Hello Fresh, like if mushrooms is in the recipe, you get mushrooms in the recipe, and you don't even have to give it away and kind of not waste it, but like you're spending the money on it, or they actually do go to waste. So okay, so I just put the LP steak pack in there, 1 tablespoon of oil, and that's it. So this is a great meal actually in a steamer. If it's really hot outside and you don't want to turn the stove on, I put in the steamer, and I would use my ground meat separator to separate things up, and then away you go.
Kind of like with the fajita chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
My Buy Nothing group has regularly offers of mushrooms, spices, herbs and stuff like that from various people who have Buy Nothing boxes and don't like half the ingredients in their box.
Yeah.
Good way to get rid of them though.
That's true. Yeah, I do appreciate when it's given away, but at the same time, you know, like you are paying for that. So the price comparison of a HelloFresh type of box is about $12 per serving. Whereas if you go to Epicure, it's like $3 to $4 per serving, and you get to pick your own ingredients. So it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know at the beginning of the
candidate for a HelloFresh box.
at the beginning of the pandemic, we did a couple of like HelloFresh or the chef plates and stuff, and we found like even with those, with like the multiple different menus, there was always like one thing that my family didn't like, whether it was the vegetable or the protein or something like that. So I was always having to customize it anyways, but it was a nice little treat instead of going out because everything was closed, remember, at the beginning of the pandemic. But you know, but it got pricey, and you forget a thing, and you get charged like $100 or whatever it was for a family of 4 for like 3 meals. I'm like, okay, I can do 7 meals for $100 with Epicure, and I
Yeah.
can choose my own vegetables
Exactly.
and probably throw in a dessert to get it to boot, you know.
Right. Okay, so that concludes our class. Are there any other tips, Jen, that you wanted to share about prepping or?
Just buy things on sale. If you don't want to use Ziploc bags because they're disposable, you can use the silicone like reusable bags, or the Tupperware type, like a freezer mates or anything like that, containers, or like a casserole dish and stuff like that, just so that you're not, you know, using disposable. These things are great for holding Ziploc bags. So if you're doing like 6 chicken things, you could have them all up, and you put your chicken and then put all your seasoning, and then you could be done in like 20 minutes, and you got like 6, you know, or 4 or whatever, how many you have of these. The flaxseed egg, and you can change the protein. So if you didn't want Philly cheesesteak, you can do Philly cheese pork. I did it with ground pork last time, and it was really good, because it was on sale and ground beef wasn't. But you could probably do it with chicken and stuff, or tofu, I'm sure, or just use edamame beans to me, like the protein source. So just try and, like, you know, don't be scared of the recipes. If it uses stuff that, like, it suggests, just use a vegetable that your family will eat. Like a lot of the times I'm using peppers and onions and corn for or broccoli or cauliflower, because my family won't eat green beans or carrots because they're just strange.
Yeah, so those are all great tips. And like the Ziploc bags, I actually end up reusing myself. Like I will wash these afterwards, and I do end up reusing them. But yeah, great tips from Jen. And buy things that are on sale. So this is the way that I typically do my freezer meals is whatever's on sale, I will do a bunch of those. So like I would do, because beef is on sale right now, or it ended today, but I bought a whole bunch. So I will probably do a whole bunch of the Philly style cheese steak dishes like this. So I would line up like 4 bags and do 4 bags of them, and then I'll have 4 bags in the freezer. And then maybe next week chicken's on sale. So I'll set up, you know, 4, 5, 6 bags of chicken and put a whole bunch of different seasonings in the chicken. So you don't have to, you know, set up 4, 5, 6 different meals that you're going to make in one shot, but just if once a week you're always prepping, you know, one of the same meals that you guys already know that you love, then your freezer is always going to be stocked, and it's not going to take a whole bunch of energy to do these freezer meals because they're all kind of going to be the same. So go with what's on sale, find some good freezer recipes. I know Jen has some extra ones in her group too, and I have some extra ones. Or if, you know, we're not your consultants, if they don't have extra freezer recipes, have them ask us for ours, and we will gladly share them. We're more than happy to help. So yeah, so thank you guys all so much. Thank you, Jen, so much also for co-hosting with me. This was super fun. We're definitely going to be doing this again. And
I didn't spill anything on me. Yay.
All right, I will end the recording. So thank you.
Bye, everyone.